Okie dokie. Well, without further ado, let's jump right into today's webinar. Joining me today, so I'm Jeff Toffley, and I'll be presenting alongside Kirk Debates, who is a solution engineer here at Clarify. This is his first webinar. He's joining me to help tell the story, and he's prepared a special technical demonstration for you today. So I'm personally certainly looking forward to that. So you'll all be put on mute for the duration of the call, but that doesn't mean we don't want questions. The whole idea here is that with this live presentation, this should be a format for you to be asking questions and interacting. Just please put them in the chat. So if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, there's a little icon that looks like a speech bubble, and you would just type, questions in the chat. And Kirk has already added one here. I'll just write hi as well. So just feel free. Don't be shy. It's there for you to use. And this sort of format always works better when there's plenty of questions from the audience. So without further ado, let's dive into today's story here about improving policyholder experience and claims processing efficiency with AI. So to begin with, Kirk, do you recognize this part of the world here? Have you ever?
I have spent more than a few afternoons on the slopes out in that general area.
Excellent. All right. So I wanted to start today's webinar by telling a little story. So imagine you took a trip up to the mountains for a ski trip, and you had a successful day of skiing, and you began your journey home. And you get on this 70 interstate through the mountains, which is a very nice road, but it is some pretty treacherous terrain nonetheless. And there, as you're driving down the interstate, there's a huge mud puddle in the middle of the interstate. The snow has melted off and created this major obstacle in the interstate. And to the right of you, you're driving down the interstate. To the right of you, there is a large semi truck. And the semi truck hits the mud puddle and creates a mud tsunami that completely buries your car in mud. And you're driving 60 miles an hour, and you can't see a thing. And you end up underneath the semi in an accident, and in this case, you emerge without a scratch, even though your vehicle's totaled. Well, it just so happens that this story happened to me just over last weekend. And in a nice case of making lemonade out of lemons, this experience ties in really well to the presentation that we're doing today.
Just to be clear, though, Jeff, everyone's safe?
Everybody's safe.
Good.
The Honda's gone, unfortunately. But I did get a chance to actually go through the claims process, and my insurance carrier is Progressive, and I used their online app, and it gave a lot of relevant insights to the topic of the day. So quick overview of what we're going to be talking about today. So it's all about improving this policyholder experience on one hand, and then on the other hand, we're also going to be proposing a solution that improves the efficiency with which these claims can be processed, and there are cost-saving benefits and other benefits for the customer. Things happen faster. We'll do a quick overview of trends in the property and casualty insurance, trends in the insurance industry. And we'll be talking about the state of the industry. We'll be talking about how you can differentiate an offering in property and casualty with services that customers love and benefits of taking this approach. Who needs this AI technology in the first place? And then we'll go over a little bit about how it works. All right, so industry trends here. So insurers are currently already investing heavily in AI. So 51% of insurance respondents in a survey said that they're investing AI. The number is expected to grow during the next several years as organizations seek to further automate and support customer experience improvements and enable an intelligent enterprise. And of this investment, 67% is happening with the P&C insurers. So as compared to 29% for life insurance and 4% for reinsurance. So really, a lot of it is happening in this vertical. So of the specific 180 use cases analyzed, 41% were specifically looking at automating auto claims, which is most of what we're going to focus on today. Most claims are actually not that complex, and they're low value, they're low complexity, and they are ripe for the picking. This is low-hanging fruit in terms of business processes that can be improved with AI-powered automation. And an in-person investigation, it can be a really expensive way to go and just may not be necessary with the real-time insights that are possible with computer vision AI. So you're going to be able to automate processes that are happening hundreds of times every week, year-round, and you're going to be able to do it instantaneously in a way that customers are really going to benefit from. To point out another obvious factor, COVID-19 has just generally accelerated the digital transformation. And in particular, we're seeing an active change in the property and casualty insurance industry. All right, so who needs this kind of technology anyways? Well, P&C insurers need to improve customer retention. This is an ongoing issue, particularly in auto insurance, where there's a lot of turnover and customer churn. And by improving the customer experience, this is an opportunity to win the loyalty of customers by providing user-friendly services that customers can access on their cell phones. And let me tell you that, when an accident is a traumatic experience, and it really takes you out of your comfort zone and your usual mode of thinking. And it's certainly a time when you are hypersensitive to the services being provided by your insurance company. So by providing a claims process that can happen more quickly, literally in minutes and not in days, you're able to provide answers to people who are in distress, and provide certainty in an otherwise an uncertain moment in their lives. And you're able to actually activate customers by keeping them engaged in the claims process. So customer retention is a huge benefit we see from this kind of technology. Additionally, there's going to be huge gains in claims administrative costs. This happening through improvements in operational efficiencies, reduction in redundancies in the claim process, reduction in expenses related to salaries and operating and administrative costs. Just less work will have to be done manually, less work will have to be done on site inspecting vehicle damage. And this allows your human workforce, highly trained, to focus on the high value tasks, focus on more complex cases. A reduction in risk exposure is also expected. And now it's well documented that that computer vision can actually be more accurate than humans once models are trained and have sufficient data to learn from, and they are more consistent than people can be too. So by evaluating claims based on large amounts of data and the predictions offered by AI models, you're going to actually be able to better predict the losses and be able to reduce reserves necessary because of your better ability to predict losses. Additionally, there's going to be a lot of insights available just generally for people because they'll have access to new unstructured data sources. And unstructured data sources are ones that are coming from cameras and microphones, and they are not structured in the sense that they're not really labeled or organized. It's just images of the world that's not easy to get information out of without the help of AI. So AI can actually help add structure to images and videos, this kind of thing. And so how can AI help you differentiate and provide services that customers love? Well, step one would be involved in this providing a guided first notice of loss experience. Where you'd be able to make it easy for customers to understand how to submit their claims, provide real-time feedback so that customers know that they've submitted the correct photos that are needed for filing their claim. And this is where I've got some sort of recent experiences here. So these are actually screen captures from my phone, taken from when I filed the claim for my own accident. And currently 42% of customers are already using these mobile apps to submit photos and videos. And you'll see here how we're going to be able to make these apps a lot smarter with AI. So you see the first steps of the process. Hopefully this is very familiar to everyone at this point, where you're entering an app, it requests permission to access your camera, and then you get started in the user interface. The first area where we'd really be able to improve the experience would be in providing more specific directions. So this is a picture of actually the damage in my vehicle. And what I was working with was very vague instructions. Take as many photos as you need to fully capture the damaged areas. So I am a person who's not a specialist in auto insurance. I'm in a time of distress, feeling traumatized by the accident, and what I really am craving is certainty, and knowing that I'm providing the right information to my insurance provider so that I can get the situation resolved and find out what's happening with my life, find out when I'm gonna have a vehicle again, and all of this kind of stuff. So we will be able to, adding AI to this exact sort of user interface, provide more specific and explicit direction to users.
Jeff, just out of curiosity, before we
Yep.
move on, were you given any feedback in the app as far as hey, I got enough stuff, or I got the right stuff?
So there was no feedback in the app,
Okay.
and that's just it. Yeah. So there were these vague directions, and then the app required a lot of redundant activities. So on the far left-hand side, first of all, you'll see this VIN sticker photo that was required. And I'll get back to that. But on the next three sections that I went through while I was submitting photos for my claim were very repetitive. First, I took vehicle photos, and then more vehicle photos, pictures of the damage, and then video. And essentially, it was the same thing 3 times. And one has to assume that this is because Progressive is struggling to get the correct data out of customers who are submitting their claims through their Photos app. So they're adding a lot of redundancy. With AI in the loop, you will not only be able to tell your customers that they've submitted the right photos, but you're actually going to be able to know. You'll be able to actually improve the quality of data that you're getting. And Kirk's demonstration that's coming up in a bit will show you exactly how this kind of thing works. Back to the VIN sticker photo. Another thing that AI can do very well is what's called object character recognition. So this had me take a picture of my VIN number, which is the unique identifier on all vehicles, but it didn't recognize the characters. And this is just low-hanging fruit. This could make the experience much better. It would make it better both for the insurance carrier, who would be able to feel certain that The claim is being submitted is for the correct vehicle, address issues with fraud and this kind of thing. And it would provide the customer with instantaneous feedback, and also will help with automating actual, final cost estimations and resolving claims automatically. The next level in automating this sort of process would be automatic damage detection. And this is where we'd be able to speed up the claims process by automatically identifying the damage itself and then classifying that damage. So you'd be able to gather the correct images that you need. You'd be able to make sure that you have enough of them, that they're the correct quality, the correct angle of the vehicle. And then you'll also be able to then identify the specific areas that are damaged and classify those. And this might look something like this. So when I submitted photos of my vehicle in for evaluation, these were evaluated manually. So I just sent in the photos, and then a person evaluated them and labeled them this way. But AI would be able to do this for you and do it automatically. So we can see that the exterior condition was in pretty bad shape. The passenger rear door needed to go to the body shop. Passenger quarter view, so this is sort of the corner of the vehicle, needed to go to the body shop. Rear bumper, etc. So it is exactly these types of categories that you can automatically identify and label, and then use for further analysis, use for automating other aspects of the claims process, which we're going to talk about next here. So intelligent triage and estimating. You'd be able to take the detected regions of damage, and you'd be able to combine this with knowledge of the vehicle in question, historical data, business rules, and normalized repair indexes, so that you can actually automate the estimation process and give people a dollar amount instantaneously. By, again, identifying, classifying the damage, and connecting it to the necessary internal systems. Okay, so this is what's possible for your vehicle, but there are other areas where insurance claims also can be automated, and I do want to mention this as well in regards to property. So another common use case is evaluating the condition, features, and value of property and vehicles with just a few images. So with satellite imagery, or but with flyover imagery from drones, you'd be able to determine if a piece of property has been built upon, if they've added a pool, if they have roof damage. And so you'll be able to automate the inspection process also with AI. All right. And with that, I want to sort of pass the floor over to Kirk, and he's going to, we're not going to take a real deep dive into the technical aspects of this, but there are a few key concepts that it's important to walk away with today in terms of how this kind of thing works. So I hope the value is clear, and that now Kirk's going to do a little explanation and then a demonstration of how the technology works in practice. So over to you, Kirk.
Sure thing. So if we can go ahead and move to the next slide. One of the first terms that you're going to hear about as you embark on your AI journey is classification. This is just allowing the AI background, backbone to identify what's going on in this, in our case, in our images or video of the of the accident in this particular case. So we can see that, hey, the exterior condition has needs to go to the body shop, clearly. And so it just kind of lets you know kind of what is in the image. It doesn't give you specific details about where stuff is. When we start talking about where stuff is, Jeff, if you can move to the next slide.
You betcha. Here we go. Next slide.
Yeah, that's actually what we're talking about when you hear us talking about detection. That's identifying the exact spot in the image where the problem has been identified. And you're not limited to a single one. You know, for instance, like in a video, you're going to have multiple views of something, or in Jeff's case, where he totaled his vehicle, um, he's going to have multiple damages detected in any given image. So those will pop up individually when it comes to that. And then finally, one more thing you'll often hear us talking about is API integration. This is the glue on how we make everything work together. So how you connect your damage claims, first notification app to the AI, to the Clarify's AI backbone, and kind of let them plug together so that they can talk. Think of it like sticking a USB disk into your computer. Very similar to that. Just allows two things to talk together, and that's where you'll hear us talking about specific APIs as far as that goes. Are there any questions as far as the terminology or anything that Jeff has brought up so far?
And again, just to kind of walk through this, so this detection, you're going to find a region in an image where damage is detected, and then that region then gets classified through a classification process, and that's where you're going to get these labels. The rear bumper needs replacement and paint, and this kind of thing. And the API. The interacting with the API, typically this means interacting with Clarify using code, but the image here is a picture of Clarify's user interface. And you can see here a workflow where different components have been connected together. And this is exactly what you should expect in the case of your insurance solution. For example, there are going to be some procedural steps that will be involved, as well as the AI, which is going to be automatically providing predictions. So your first step in the procedure might be, is the image quality good enough? Okay, pass. Is damage detected? If damage is detected, then classify the damage. So you can set up those kind of workflows within Clarify's platform, and then connect it all together, connect it with your application using Clarify's API.
Perfect. Thanks for the clarification, Jeff. So I don't see any questions in the chat. So with that, should we go ahead and kind of take a look at the demo?
I think so. Let's take a look at this demo. Do you want to go ahead and push your screen?
Let me go ahead and push. Now, my screen, and I'm going to move this out of the way. All right. Can we see my my screen so far?
Yep.
Okay. So what you're looking at is my live iPhone here. So where I'm going to be touching stuff over here on my left side, you're going to be seeing it on my screen. So what I've done here to demonstrate kind of the concepts about about what's going on and how this might help you in in bettering the customer experience is, like I said, I built a small application that's just going to all it does is asks for an upload of the vehicle walk around, so that you're doing this in one pass potentially. And just to show you guys the videos that we're going to be working with, we've got a picture of my Honda. I didn't realize that Jeff had one as well. And this particular video, we started on the driver's side, go around the front, passenger side, and you'll notice that I missed the rear portion of that. On the second video, we start on the passenger side, we go around. I remember to get the rear this time, take the driver's side, and then kind of finish on the front. So those are the ones that we're going to be working with in the application, just to give you an idea of what's going to be going on.
Okay, so what did you do there? You just recorded a video and walked around the vehicle, right?
Just walked around my vehicle, yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
And in one case, you provided enough data. That would have
Right.
been enough to complete the claim and the other you didn't.
Exactly, just so that you can get an example of how our platform can allow you to make adjustments with the customer, on a first time pass, not waiting for additional review later, that type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, cool. I think I got it. Anybody else have any questions about anything so far? Okay.
All right, 3-second rule.
3-second rule in webinars.
Go ahead and get over to my photo library where I have those demo ones. Remember, the one that started on the driver's side is incomplete. We're going to go ahead and choose this one just to kind of show you what's going on. It's going to upload that, and you'll see up there on the top, we're doing some work on the back end, and 3 or 4 seconds later, looks like we're missing some frames from the rear of the vehicle. And then just, for something that your excuse me, like your developers who might be connecting things, connecting your app to the AI, to the Clarify platform, some additional data in there just so that they can understand what was missed and what have you. So since so now we know at the time of the accident, okay, we're taking this picture, let's go ahead and make the corrections. We'll go ahead back out there. This time we'll get the one that starts on the passenger side. We know that that one, at least in theory, has all 4 sides exposed. We do the upload again, do a little bit of work on our side, and again, 3 to 5 seconds, we've got a great big green thumbs up, and that almost always means we've done the right thing.
Nice user interface design, Kirk.
You know what?
Hey, can we scroll down? Oh, sorry. Can we scroll down to the bottom? So what actually happened there? So we've got frames, and
right. Okay.
And then we've got driver side, front, passenger side, rear.
So what we did on the platforms. Okay, first of all, a little bit of background. A video technically is just made up of a bunch of frames. So it's if you remember back to childhood, doing the little flip thing with different pieces of paper, just flipping through it really fast, you could see things, you could make your own character move through time. Very similar thing actually is what actually happens in videos today. The typical frames per second is 30 frames per second. So what we're doing is we're saying that, we're taking a look at the video as a whole. We trained the what we call a model, which is just a way for us to determine what's what. So we've trained that model to understand, okay, what does a driver's side of a vehicle look like? What does the front of a vehicle generally look like? Same thing with passenger side and rear. So as part of that process, as we go through the video, we're going, okay, I recognize this. This is a view of the driver's side. Okay, I recognize this. This is a view of the front. And just kind of works its way through any of the classifications. Again, we only identified 4 sides on this, but that could be expanded to anything that you need, whether it's a quarter panel, which had you had the accident early enough, Jeff, I would have incorporated it into the demo. But all kidding aside, no, I am glad
Kirk had built this before we had seen the outputs from that progressive app, is what he said.
Exactly. Sorry.
And are these detections or classifications here?
These are classifications.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Now, something that actually happened in the background that I don't really have a good way to demonstrate is that on my back left quarter panel, there's actually a dent. You guys probably didn't notice it because it's a small iPhone screen. But as we move over here, I'll leave this area and I'll show you kind of what happens on the back end of what's going on. We have an additional app workflow that, for this one, the car accident estimator, we trained it with fewer than 100 images, just so that it could understand the difference between minor damage, no damage, and totaled. So anything that's got like a, anything that's got a, picture of a brand new vehicle, hopefully it's going to show up as no damage at all. Then we have, something else that shows up as totaled, and we definitely got 100% score there. And then, this is kind of what minor damage looks like. And what actually, what happened when we ran through this is, as I was walking around, it detected that there was an item in one of the frames where it found a dent on my walkthrough. So it's one of those things on the video as I was walking around. A human would have had a very hard time identifying that, but because we were able to detect that, it threw it over to here so it can go through the damage estimator. And you can see here that it's just a little bump right here from a few weeks ago in the airport, and it's classified as a minor damage. Again, these are my basic classifications to allow you to kind of understand what is possible in that situation. These could be, you could chunk these into, well, as your stuff did, hey, it requires a body shop, or this is, pull and paint, I think was the other one, or, nothing needed at all. Again, those
Yeah.
classifications
So Kurt, wait a second. So these are different categories than the ones that we saw used in the evaluation, from my experience.
right.
What's the deal when you run up against categories that maybe a pre-built insurance solution didn't include?
Well, that's kind of the beauty of our platform. We can take what we already know about, and then we have the ability to use something called transfer learning. So we can take what we already know, establish new concepts. So I could potentially, take a look at the concepts that were brought in from your application experience, and then tell the excuse me, tell the model, hey, we have this new concept. It's called pull and paint. Identify what pull and paint looks like. Tell the model, hey, go readjust, and now you will have additional concepts or categories, if you prefer to think of them that way, that that would allow you to classify these images into. Does that help?
Yeah, so I mean, it's something that's really different about approaching this kind of a project on the Clarify platform, is that this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. And frankly, one-size-fits-all solutions don't work in the real world a lot of times, because you're going to have your own historical data, your own business rules that you need to accommodate, and your own customer data. You may have a specific subset of auto customers or serve a specific type of residents, and you're going to need to have models that see the world the way you see it, and that provide you with outputs that are meaningful to you, that you can actually use. And we make it super duper easy to create new categories and train new models that can understand the world in the way you do. In fact, if you see on the left-hand side where it says concepts with minor damage, no damage, and total, there's a little plus sign. And that's literally all you do. You'd add a concept to the model, you name your concept, and you add some data, and you label it all in the same user interface. You hit train, trains very fast, and then voila, you've got a model that can recognize new concepts. Now, getting real high levels of precision is not something that happens instantaneously, and high levels of precision will be something you're going to be interested in if you're automating resolving claims, the more advanced levels of this sort of a solution. But we would support huge data sets. We support, quick proofs of concept, and everything everywhere in between. So we can support your evolution in this kind of throughout this kind of project.